Hi, it's Mark Foster. We're here with Bernie Pawlik doing the Pawlik Automotive podcast, talking about cars. How are you doing this morning, Bernie?
Well,
You're doing well. That's excellent.
yeah.
So we're talking about a 2004 Ford F450 that had a manual transmission repair. What was going on with this vehicle?
So this vehicle was towed to our shop with actually a different issue. The engine wouldn't run, it wouldn't start. So we diagnosed that, repaired the issues, got the vehicle running quite nicely, and we're out on a road test. And during the road test, it was a manual. It's a 6-speed manual transmission. The transmission shifter just jammed up between third and fourth gear. Took a lot of coercing to finally get it to move out of the jammed position. We're able to limp the vehicle back to our shop, and of course the transmission at that point needed repair. You could hear some pretty horrific noises going on, and something, while we were driving it had just broken inside the transmission. So that's basically what was happening.
So what did you find?
Well, it's interesting that we can have a look at some pictures. So to start with, we had to remove the transmission to take it apart, but we started by just draining the oil out and having a look at it. And I'll just share some photos right here. So this is the bottom. This is a close-up view of our transmission oil pan, our drain pan. And we drain the oil, and it's this vehicle uses a Dexron ATF fluid for the transmission. And if you look in here, all these little things, these are all particles of metal. This should just be this is the black sort of ribs of the pan. This is the red fluid, and all these little blacks, or all these little speckles, are all pieces of brass and metal in the bottom of the transmission. So you don't want to see that. That indicates there's something's broken and let go. This is a picture. There's a magnet. So when we took the transmission apart, there's a magnet in the bottom of the transmission to catch metal filings. Now this is a picture of the magnet cleaned up. This is what it should look like if there's no metal, but this is what it looked like when we took the pan out. Sorry, when we took the transmission apart. And you can see there's a lot of metal here, but also a very distinct piece here. This is actually a part of a circlip that actually snapped, and this was part of the problem with the transmission. So the piece of circlip actually ended up stuck onto this magnet. Now there's a picture of the transmission assembly. It's an F450, so this is a medium-sized truck, dual rear wheels. It's pretty big, it's pretty tough, and incredibly heavy transmission, incredibly large. Built for what it was meant to, built for hauling heavy things. This is the transmission assembly sitting on the ground. This would be the first gear over here, and the main gear set is inside the transmission. Being a 6-speed, it's got gears outside and sort of on either side of the center of the case. This is one of the synchro, there's shift collars. And we'll just go to one last picture of the inside of the transmission. So this is the actual main gear cluster being removed. You can see we actually use a crane to remove it. It's that heavy. But the problem was actually, and unfortunately, for some reason, I didn't take any pictures of the actual damage, but that circlip actually sat inside this area here, and we didn't see that until we actually took the shifter rods off and dismantle the transmission. But inside here, these are called the synchros, and this is what allows a modern, when I say modern, I mean manual transmission to actually shift without having to double clutch like you would have had to in the 50s, way back when, shifting a manual transmission was a lot of work, required a fair bit of skill and timing. But whereas recently transmissions with synchro mesh, you just push the clutch down, you can shift gears, and this mechanism allows that to happen. So, as I say, the problem was in here. There's a shaft and a piece, and the gear is basically held together by the clip, and the clip broke apart, and that's what caused this whole mechanism to jam up. So that was right here. This is, by the way, fourth gear, third gear, second gear, first gear, and then you have your overdrive gears up here. So that's our pictures.
So what did you have to replace to get the unit running and reliable again?
We basically replaced the input shaft. You know what? I can actually just go back to this picture again because I can actually. You see the transmission again?
Yep.
Yeah. So this whole shaft here with this gear, we replaced that piece. We replaced the synchro mechanism, which is located behind this ring here. That ring, this round piece here, and everything inside there was replaced because it was damaged. And then other than that, bearings, which is a normal thing to do whenever you do a transmission overhaul. Bearings, surprisingly, were in pretty good shape on this transmission, but it would be silly not to replace them when you have to take everything apart. If, you know, a bearing fails down the road, you know, then you have to do the whole job over again. So the bearings, we replace the bearings, we replace all the synchro rings, which are these small rings located here. They tend to wear over time, and all the gaskets and seals, and that's what we replaced.
So is this kind of transmission failure a common issue with this vehicle?
Well, apparently it is. I mean, we don't see a lot of most of our clients with these larger trucks have automatics, but yeah, apparently it isn't an uncommon problem for that particular gear and that actual issue to occur on this transmission. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of it in our shop, only because we don't work on a lot of them like a lot of other people might do. Yeah, it's pretty common.
So we haven't really discussed transmission repairs before. Do you do many of them?
We do. We do manual transmissions. We do anything with, you know, gears. We don't get into automatic transmissions. It's just too specialized. It's not like we couldn't, but it doesn't make any sense when people, you know, they're doing them all day long. They have the tools and equipment, and so automatics we send out. Manual transmissions we normally do in house.
So the Ford F450 2004. Again, this is a fairly old vehicle, worth repairing.
Oh yeah, it's a good truck. It's a diesel. You know, this had a dump box bed on the back. So, I mean, once you start investing in equipment like that, it kind of makes sense to repair the vehicle. And, you know, for a few $1,000s worth of work, you know, the transmission's overhauled now. It should be good for quite a long time. And with the engine repairs we did, it should all last and be reliable for quite a long time. So it's a good truck and tough. I mean, see by the size of this gear set on this transmission, it's meant to haul some heavy stuff around. So yeah, good truck. I mean, it is a 6-liter diesel. We know what that means. I mean, there'll be a constant stream of issues going on, but in between, it's a good truck. If that's a good thing to say.
So there you go. If you're looking for repairs for your Ford diesel medium duty trucks, the guys to see, or your any kind of manual transmission repairs, the guys to see in Vancouver are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment. You have to book ahead, they're busy. Or check out the website, pawlikautomotive.com. There's lots of information on there, hundreds of postings on there in the blog and in our videos, as well as our YouTube channel, Pawlik Auto Repair. And thank you for listening on iTunes. We appreciate it. Thanks, Bernie.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, and thank you for watching.